Hello, welcome to episode 45 of the Craft House Magic Podcast. My name's Ellie and I'm coming to you from Norwich in Norfolk in the UK, and today is a very sunny 27th of July 2018 and I'm going to share all my crafty things that I've been up to the last couple of weeks. So I hope you've had lots of crafty things too, or you've had time to do some. So I've got some knitting, a little bit of crochet, some dressmaking, some bobbin lace, and then the usual blast from the past and gadget, as well as a few confessions. And some information of what's going in my shop update tomorrow, and it's the 27th of July at 7 PM British summertime. You can find me on Instagram, on Ravelry and Facebook and Etsy as Craft House Magic, and I shall pop some links down below so you can get there very easily. So I want to say thank you so much to everybody who subscribed. We've now got 4,000 subscribers, can you believe it? So I thought what better way to celebrate this is to have a knit along. So my friend Jo had sent me a picture of this beautiful shawl pattern called the Goldfish Memory Shawl by Casapinka, and I thought that is gorgeous. And she said that each of the sections is all sort of a different pattern, so it keeps you interested. So I thought that would be brilliant. And Jo suggested that we called it the Swimalong. How cool is that? So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to start the knit along on the 1st of August, but I will open the thread, the discussion thread before then, so that we can chat about what yarns we're going to be doing. So I will show you in my shop update what yarns I'm going to be casting on at the end of the podcast. But if you want to stick around for that. So I'll be knitting with it. I've got some sets that I've got going to be putting up in the shop if you wanted to get a set. But you can use yarns that you've already got in your stash. You don't even have to have the 3 yarns that they suggest. You could use all your odds and ends really. So I thought that would be fun. So I will open a discussion thread in the Ravelry group, and then when we're drawing to the last sort of few weeks, what I suggest everyone do is just post in the sort of finished objects thread, but it's not going to be just for finished objects. I heard that Kay from the Bakery Bears was doing a knit along where you just posted when you'd finished, and if you hadn't actually finished the item, you just shared with everybody where you'd got up to. So that's how it's going to work. Hope that isn't a bit too long-winded, the first part of the podcast. But anyway, we've already got a couple of knit-alongs going on. We've got the Christmas craft along. Well, it's not just knitting, it's all the crafts. And it's getting ready for Christmas, Christmas presents, Christmas-related things. And it's just sharing it all in the group. And I draw a prize every month. And I will be drawing a prize at the end of July. And it's for lovely Jen Sheelan's pattern, which is called the Springtime Melody Shawl. And I will also be giving a skein of my yarn away this month as well, and in August I'll announce what the prizes will be for the end of August. And we've also got the Buttercup Sock Along going on at the moment, where people have got kits from me and Kelly's collaboration, which was fun, so that's going on as well. And I've just finished last week the sock tutorials for the top down sock if you're interested, and I'll pop a link down below if you need to get to that. So that's all the administration sorted. Let's get into the good stuff. So I normally start with my knitting section, so I will do the same today. I have a couple of finished objects. I have finished my Over the Rainbow socks, which I brought out, well, I dyed the yarn myself and I brought them out as a kit, or you could buy the yarn separately in my shop, and it's like a rainbow colours dispersed with little blue micro stripes, and it comes with a little blue mini if you're interested in that. So I finished my socks just because I really enjoyed knitting with a very cheerful rainbow colours really quickly, so I'll be looking forward to wearing those when it gets a little bit chilly, because it certainly is too hot to wear them at the moment. So I used my top down sock pattern, which I talked about a moment ago, to do just a normal 2x2 rib, plain stocking stitch, and a slip stitch heel flap with decreases in the foot, and then the toe decreases and the kitchen stitch. So there is tutorials for all 3 sections of the sock, which I will link down below. I also did the same pattern Well, these are the socks I actually knitted in the tutorial, and I finished them off. So they're knitted out of my Coming Around Again colourway, which has got some greys and some lovely little coral colours, and then it comes with a little coral mini if you want to purchase that, but you don't have to have that separately. I'm knitting with all my yarn this time. I'm so sorry. I hope you don't get bored of it. So there we go. So it's the same pattern again, because this is the one I knitted up for the tutorial, but this one I knitted in my sparkle base. I'm not quite sure whether you'll be able to see the sparkle in the yarn there. It's a bit blowing out today, even though I've got a filter on the window. But there we go. There's another pair of socks finished, ready for winter, and I think that they'll be for me. You can see actually that I've blocked one of the socks but not the other one, and there's a slight ridge down the side, but once that's blocked, that blocks out nicely. So that's 2 pairs of socks finished, and that's the end of my finished objects for this section. Let's go on to my works in progress. So I've been knitting on my Madewell cardigan by Hokey Locatelli. And again, I'm knitting in my own yarn again. I've gone a bit crazy nicking stuff out the shop. Oh dear. So I've knitted quite a bit, but it doesn't look very impressive, I'm afraid. So it's a cardigan, so you're knitting sort of, see if I can hold it, sort of round the back like that, but I haven't got to the place where you separate the sleeves yet, so it's not very clear where I am. But this is how the yarn's looking, with some little purple speckles with grey dispersed in there. And for the first section, because I'm doing increases round the neck, I'm only actually using 1 skein, and I've got this much left of the first ball. I shouldn't say skein, I should say hank. Anyway, so I've only knitted with 1 skein, so when I get to under the underarm I'll be alternating skeins as well, just to make sure that there isn't any differences in the hand-dyed yarn. But there we go, that's how that's looking. I really like how these increases are working as well. That's a really pretty effect. And I've got them on quite a small needle, so it's difficult to show you. But there we are. That's my Madewell cardigan. I will pop a picture up here so you can see what the finished object looks like, but it's pretty much just a nice simple cardigan to wear, and I thought it'd be really wearable with lots of different outfits as well, being it's mostly grey. So there we go. So that's actually the only knitting that I've been working on in the last couple of weeks. It's been a lot of like stocking stitch, I'm afraid. I'll have to get some colour work out, I think. Right, so I thought I'd add a little bit of a section on sort of future knitting. I saw on Ava from the Charmovitz Instagram page, I think, and I'm sorry this is a black and white photograph, but there was this gorgeous little gnome pattern. It would probably be better if I put a colour photograph on the screen, and it's called Here We Gnome Again by Imagined Landscapes on Ravelry. So I downloaded the pattern straight away, purchased it, and I shall be casting that on soon. But I thought it kind of looks like a little Santa, so I might use that for something towards the Christmas craft along. So there we go. So I've actually started some crochet. I had a wild thing about doing loads of crochet ages ago, and I haven't touched it. And this, I just saw the lovely Battenberg blanket by Sandra from the Cherry Heart podcast, and I've started making some little squares. So you can see that they're basically the yarns that I've been using for the 3 projects I showed you just now. It's quite interesting actually how differently the squares knit up to the socks, because this one is the rainbow yarn, and if you compare that to how that comes out in the sock, that comes out really cool. So I really like how there's a bit of a difference between the crochet and the knitting, the way the colours come out. So these 2 are the same as I knitted my sock on. If I hold it up against it, it'll be quite interesting to see how differently it comes out. So those 2 are the yarns that I used for my sock, so I'm using up little bits of leftovers. And oh, and again I used the blue one that goes with, well, that's the one I used for the heel there, and this one is the same yarn as I used in my Madewell cardigan, as I just showed you. So I've got 5 little coloured squares ready to join together, and I'm going to use a pale, like white cream undyed yarn to go in between there. And because I'd seen the blanket that Sandra had shown on her podcast, I'd seen it a couple of times actually, but I just thought, right, now is the time to crochet a blanket. And these are great because they only take about 2 grams of yarn, and I know that when I'm knitting my Cozy Memories blanket, I've quite often got a couple of grams left from little minis that I've done in swaps and things, so they're ideal to use little tiny scraps up. So I've also had the idea of using a magic knot ball of all my scraps of yarn that are sort of 1 metre or more to do another crochet blanket, but I'm not quite sure whether I'm going to do just a long striped crochet blanket or whether to do just a giant granny square. That might be quite fun, because then you don't have such a long edge to do straight away. You have to build the size up. I could also do just bigger granny squares as well. We'll see. I'll have to sit down and have a think about it. What do you guys think? What do you prefer? So that's my little pitiful crochet section for this time, and I think I shall be going into sewing, and I have a special guest again today, but she's a little bit shy because she's wearing a little bit less than normal this time. Barbara, come and show us what you've got on. Oh, Barbara. So Barbara is wearing the start of my bra that I've been making. So I shall show you what the pattern is. So I've had this for absolutely ages before I even started the podcast. So it's a quick sew pattern, and the number is the 2374, and I picked up the large sizes because I come up as a 42D, I think it was, but yeah, I think it was a 42D. Let's have a look. I've written it on the paper pieces. Yes, 42D. So I traced off the pattern pieces, and they ended up looking something like this. Don't look how big they are. Oh dear. I was a bit worried about this pattern. Might end up looking a little bit frumpy because it's not quite as pretty as some of the other patterns, but I needed to get the larger sizes, and I also wanted a wired cup because I just don't like bras without wires. So I've picked this up and I started constructing it. So I've got 2 different fabrics that I've used for this. I've used a double layer here where I've got a fabric that's called Simplex underneath, which is quite a sturdy, stretchy fabric. And then I've covered it with this power net. I don't know if you can just about see my fingers through it, to sort of make it look slightly lacy. And I've done that for all this front panel and the back panel as well, which I shall show you. Oh, Barbara! And you can see how I've cut those pieces, but I haven't put the straps on yet. And then I've used the 2 layers of power net for the cups, but I don't know whether that might be a bit excessive. I was a bit worried that I wouldn't have quite enough support. This bra is going to be just a little bit of a trial to see if this pattern actually fits me, so I'm not going to worry about actually making use of it afterwards. I'm just going to see whether it fits really. And I've just added some elastic at the top with a bit of a sort of a picot edge, just to have a bit of a decoration. And I know it's a practice, but I just wanted to see how the construction sort of worked. I've been watching quite a few tutorials on YouTube, and I also bought a Craftsy class that tells you all about bra construction. So I'd sort of got an idea of how to construct the bra, and there were some instructions that were quite easy to follow in here, but I actually ended up drawing on the information that I'd gathered from watching the other Craftsy courses and the other YouTube channel tutorials as well. So I did it slightly different in that I put these 2 panels together, and then I placed this panel on top of it and the bottom side of this underneath, if that makes sense. Stitched that up and then opened it out, so I didn't end up with a sort of a raw seam on the inside, which was a bit different to how this describes it, but I think that that's going to work okay. We'll see. I haven't put the underwires in yet because I hadn't ordered any of black, the wire casing. I've got some now, but I haven't had a chance to use it yet, but I'll just show you how it comes. So wire casing is basically a tube. See if I can open it to show you on the camera. I'm not sure if I can, it's a bit difficult. So it's a tube which enables you to put the wire through there, and that forms the like a cup shape in the bra, and then you put your wire through. I've dropped my wire case in now. I've bought a massive roll, obviously in the hope that I'm going to be making loads of bras, but we'll see. But you can get kits from places like the Bra Shop on Etsy, and also I think Evie la Luve does some kits as well, but I know that Evie la Luve doesn't do the underwires so much. But you can get little kits with the little pieces in that you need to make a bra if you're not sure what to order. I did actually buy one of those kits, but I bought the white version and I hadn't bought any white fabric, which is a bit silly really. So I then, when I'd already started constructing this, I had to order this, and then I've just been waiting for it to come to finish the bra. So yeah, I think it's going okay so far, and I've put it up against myself and it does appear to fit okay at the moment, but obviously I've not put the elastic around the bottom or added the elastic around the sides or the strap elastic, so we'll see. I'll keep you posted how that comes along. So I've got my wires ready in this little bag. I'll show you them new. So I bought 2 different sizes of underwires, but I'm not quite sure which one's going to fit me yet. But I shall just try them in the wire casing when I've actually constructed the wire casing part of the bra. And I've got some of these hook and eyes for the back as well, and some different types of elastic for the bottom and the straps, which I shall tell you a bit more about when I've completed the bra. What was interesting, that there's a podcaster or a sewing YouTuber called Liz Sews, and she's recently just done a video about how to work out which underwire to buy, and I shall pop a link to that below. And Liz Sews also has a number of tutorials on some different bras as well, so you might want to catch those. So I will link to Liz Sews some of the bra tutorials, and also the tutorial on how to work out which of the wire sizes is appropriate for you. So there we are. So you might have noticed that Barbara is also wearing a pair of pyjamas that I've made. I don't suppose you can really see her very well. I shall just make her a bit taller. I don't suppose you can see her any better now, but anyway. So these are the ultimate pyjamas from Sew Over It, and I have made a couple of pairs of these previously. But it's been so hot at night, I needed some 3/4 length ones. So I've made some 3/4 length version, exactly how I did the other ones. I ended up, I think after my first version, I ended up shortening the torso a little bit because I'm a bit short in the body. So I'd already taken that length off the pattern anyway, because I'd done one that I found a little bit long in the first place. What else I did is that I put some 1.5 inch wide elastic in this gap here, and once I'd popped it in, I actually top stitch this with a staggered zigzag, a 3-step zigzag all the way around at the top and the bottom, just to stop the elastic from flipping, because it drives me nuts when you're in bed and this isn't flat. I don't know why. So I did this 3-step zigzag on the top and the bottom of that thing to keep the elastic from slipping out of there. I'm not quite sure whether that'll annoy me because it reduces the amount that the elastic sort of recovers, but I think it looks okay. I also did a top stitch just to keep the hem down on the inside as well, and I used a thread that was slightly too on the cream side. So this fabric it's sort of an off-white cream, and I used a cream thread thinking that it would match, but actually it's not exactly the right match. So but it's just for bedtime anyway, so who's going to notice my stitch colour? What I am really excited about is that I actually made these out of an old fitted sheet that had lost its elasticity to go on the bed, and some of the seams were sort of opening out at the sides, and I just thought, rather than throwing it away, I'll upcycle it. So I made some pyjama bottoms, and I found that a double size, a UK double sized fitted sheet was plenty to make some 3/4 length pyjama bottoms, so that was really good. And I also used some cord from one of those posh bags from a posh shop to do the little tie at the front. So you know, you get posh bags from a posh shop with like corded handles. I always keep the cords because I never want to waste fabric. So I've cut those off the bag, or I took those off the bag, and I've used them as a little tie at the front. Now the normal sew over it pattern, it says about making a cord to go all the way around the waist, but I've actually just tucked it through the 2 loops at the front, and then I tie it at the front just to give it a bit of decoration, because the elastic's in there anyway to do the job of cinching the waist in. So I'm really pleased about that. I might take them off just to show you a little bit closer. I better put my pins in the pin cushion, otherwise I'll be dropping them on the floor and standing on them later. So this is my pyjama bottoms, and I'm really pleased that I've been able to sort of upcycle something, because it was quite a nice Egyptian cotton sheet. It wasn't, you know, a poor quality one, and because it's been sort of washed a lot, it's got a nice soft feel to it, so that'll be really lovely. And I shall be wearing those tonight because I've been saving them to show you guys. Right, so Barbara, you can stand there for a minute longer. Although you're showing a bit too much of your torso. Hold on. There we are, you can just see her bra again now. I've also cut out and partially sewn a pair of ultimate trousers, but these, I've actually done them just under knee length so that they're sort of shorts, but I don't like to show my knees, so here we go. I've actually got one leg, well, I've got them both legs finished, but they look the same. So the ultimate trousers don't have pockets in them, but I had made a pair of trousers for Adam ages ago, well just before, it was for Christmas, and I basically stole the pocket pattern and put it against the pattern piece for the leg, and I traced off another piece that fit my leg piece exactly, if that makes sense. And then I cut out a nice big pocket and attach that to the panel pieces. Oh, and I did actually have to take a wedge off the front trouser pattern just so that this sort of pocket shape made sense really. So this pocket is cut in one piece inside, where you have like a wedge side here which sews onto the front, and then you sew the other part onto the back, like so, if that makes sense. I shall show you in the inside. I actually did all the overlocking in white because I thought I haven't got a brown cotton and no one's going to see the overlock threads. So there we go, I've got a pocket on, and the ultimate trousers do have darts on, so I've popped those in there. And what I'm actually going to do, rather than having a side zip, I'm going to actually have a zipped fly at the front. And I've taken the pattern pieces from the trousers that I'd made for Adam out of the British Sewing Bee book, and I'm going to do a fly using those pieces, and I'm hoping it's going to work okay. We'll see. So I've got the 2 legs done like that, so all I need to do is join them together, put the fly in and put the waistband on, and we should be ready to go. So yeah, the original pattern for the sew over it ultimate trousers haven't got a waistband on, but they do supply a sort of add-on piece as well to do a waistband, which I like really. I think it sort of finishes them off nicely. So I shall show you my progress on that next time. Sorry about all these partially finished sewing projects, it's dreadful, isn't it? So thank you ever so much, Barbara. She's a bit shorter now. Thank you, Barbara. See you again next time. Thanks, Barbara. Oh, she's good, isn't she? I also wanted to mention actually that I noticed that the Stitch Sisters had got a free kaftan pattern, which was quite interesting, on their blog site, but they do a load of videos as well on dressmaking. I will pop a link to both the YouTube videos and the blog site down below. And the kaftan is a sort of a short sleeved long dress that's made out of cotton, and it's made out of all rectangles that they give instructions for on the website. So I'm going to try and see if I can make one of those as well. We'll see. There's just not enough hours in the day, is there? So that's my sewing finished, and I just want to talk about bobbin lace now. So I've been working on my Christmas decoration, and it's made from a bangle, and I showed you this last time, and I think I'd got a sort of a third of the way round or something like that, and I've now worked all the way around the pattern. And you can see, because I've been able to take some of the pins out where it's been left overnight. So when you work the bobbin lace, it's best to leave it at least sort of 12 hours to set in the weave before you then take the pins out. But I have left vital pins like the point of the sort of star shape, so that it'll keep it nice and flat and in shape. So I am now waiting for my next bobbin lace class with my tutor, so she can help me on weaving the ends in. There was a special way that was different from what I'd done before, so I shall hopefully have that finished by the next episode. And I'm going to hang a little charm in the middle of that little bangle so that it can go on the Christmas tree. So I shall show you that finished though, but I thought I'd keep you updated. So there we are. So it's made out of DMC Philadante's size 80 cotton that I've used for that. So it's not a really fine piece, but I think I could have probably done with a slightly finer thread for that pattern, because they're very dense when I'm working it. And the pattern is by Christine Springett, and I shall actually link the pattern below, because you can get a kit from her website. So there we go. I shall be working on another bobbin lace project hopefully by the next episode, and it's a little lavender sachet that I'd already started making the front. I wanted to make the back panel, so I'm hoping that I'll get that done by the next episode. We'll see. I always say this and I don't. So we've got the blast from the past now. What have I done with it? I've buried it underneath everything, underneath my pyjamas. So I wanted to show you my little case where I keep all my bobbin lace bobbins. That flows on nicely from the bobbin lace section. So this is a little case to keep all my bobbins, and I made this, oh goodness me, a couple of years ago, and it is really useful to keep the bobbins together because I keep them in little pairs. But you could actually do the same sort of thing for knitting needles. I was thinking at some point in publishing a pattern of how to make this up, and then doing an alternate version where you could put knitting needles in them as well. I suppose you could use the same shape for a knitting needle case. So I've got 2 pages there with a lip that goes over the front of the one side, and then it's blue on the outside, and you can see how this has got like a contrast fabric, which then zips up nicely. I'm not showing you this very well, am I? It's hard to hold it so that the bobbins don't all fall out. So there we are, it zips up nice and safely so that those bobbins don't get lost. So that's my blast from the past, and yeah, hopefully I'll get that pattern written up at some point, which I've probably been saying for like a year to people, but never mind. I'll get it done sometime. And we're on to the gadget section. So I thought I'd have a very silly gadget section this time. So I tend to have a lot of different sort of knitting project bags and bobbin lace project bags, and basically a bag for every sort of crafty project that I have. And I like to keep a pair of glasses in each bag. So I tend to go to places like Poundland in the UK or Pound World and pick up very cheap pairs of glasses that are as strong as I can possibly get hold of. So these are, I think they're plus 3.5. My actual prescription is only 2.5, but sometimes if you have an emergency where you've dropped a stitch and you can't see very well and it's not very good light, pair of these glasses in your bag just to wear for a couple of minutes while you fix the problem. It's absolutely life-safe. So as you can probably tell, if they're from Poundland, they're normally about £1 from some of these places. So I think if you're in the US, you have dollar store, so you might have something similar there. Very, very useful. They've saved my skin no end of times with dropping stitches and things, but so there we go. So I like to keep a pair of glasses in every knitting bag, which is always very useful. So now we're on to the confessions. So I've just been to Yarningham, which was brilliant. So we had a little leaflet here. So Yarningham is in Birmingham, and it is in the Ofcombe Centre. I don't know if I've pronounced that correctly. So I believe this has been going a few years and they've just changed the venue, but I have never been before. And the Ofcombe Centre was really lovely, and apparently it's a little bit bigger than they previously were, but the rooms were really nice and you could sit outside and have cake. And they even give you some free knitting patterns in the little booklet there, which I think is really lovely, and also a little plan of what little shops were in the different rooms. That's just one of the rooms, that's the conservatory room, and it was brilliant. So I went along with Emma from Eldenwood Craft and Caroline from Love to Sew, and we met up with loads of lovely people. And what I shall do is I shall pop some pictures at the very end of the podcast so you can see all the lovely people I met. But I'm going to just show you a few of the yarns that I'd purchased. So I'm going to talk about the things that aren't minis first, because I got quite a few minis. I've already opened this out, so it's not as pretty as it was when I first got it. So one of the things that I'd had my eye on a little while ago was these Gobstopper balls by Down Sheepy Lane, and I'd missed her update the last time she did these. Oh, look at that. So pretty, and it comes with a little mini to do the heels and toes for knitting socks with. So this is 50 grams plus a 20 gram mini, and it just makes it a little bit less expensive to buy a Gobstopper ball with a mini that matches rather than buying 100 grams, because for socks you only need 50 grams. Although I do like having extra yarn anyway. But it feels less expensive when you go into a show. So that was really pretty. I'd had my eye on that before the show, and I just caved in when I got there. I saw Deb on the stall, and there were so many lovely yarns. And I also picked up a mini from her stall, so I might show you that now. And I'm afraid my camera always dulls down pinks, so that's a little bit more pink than it appears in the picture. So I picked this little mini up, and then she gave me one of her lovely badges. There we go. Isn't that sweet? Down Sheepy Lane. Thanks, Deb. So that was my first, well, it wasn't my first, I'm just doing the bigger purchases first. I also saw this yarn. Now, I wasn't going to buy any more full skeins, but I saw this and I thought this would make a lovely hat for Adam, but then I might keep it myself. So it's like a deep sort of petrol blue colour with some teal areas in there, and this is from Baby Longlegs, and this is her BFL base, but it didn't actually have a label on it that actually matched it, but she tells me it's BFL. She just gave me a card so I can show you where I got it from. So I picked this up thinking, ooh, hat, and then I saw on the Rivenet stall, look at that. I actually just picked this up thinking it was pretty, but then I got them in the bag and I thought, right, look at those together. I reckon some sort of hat or something. I don't know, but they're just gorgeous. So those two are going to be something. Bit naughty really, isn't it? And then my whole purpose of going to Yarningham, well, this is what I had the idea in my head, is to go around and get some minis off people I haven't got minis off before to try out new dyers. So I picked up a couple of yarns from Gemma from Snuggly Stars Yarn. so that she's got a card, she's got some little details about where her Etsy shop is, and I thought that these lovely 10-gram minis were really cute and they're perfect to go in my Cozy Memories blanket, so I picked those two up. I can't remember what she said that they were called. She did tell me. I think they have proper names. Sorry Gemma. But she was really lovely. And it's really nice to meet new people as well, so that was good. Next new to me dyer was Sonic Knits, and I picked up this cute little mini from there, which has got some lovely blue and pink speckles on, so it's 20 grams. And then I hadn't got any beehive yarns, so I was determined to get a couple of those. So I got one pink one. See, that's coming up a little bit duller. That's a little bit more of a rich, sort of rosy pink. And then there's like a tonal grey black colour as well, which I thought was lovely. And then I saw Fine Fish yarns, and I have to get one of those. They're always really lovely. So I picked up a mini. Oh, has that got a name? Murderous, this one. So I picked up a mini from Fine Fish Yarns. So I went to the Owl About Yarn stall, and Jenny was there, which the first time I'd met Jenny, and the lovely Zoe from Pins and Needles was there as well, so I got to chat to her, and I've just started watching her podcast, which is lovely. Now this isn't coming up quite as pink as it is in real life. It's a bit annoying. I will pop a picture up here of my total stash so you can see the sort of colours properly. And then I just have one more set of minis. I just bought a set of mini. These were in a lovely bag, but I ruined them and took them out because I wanted to feel them. And they're the Yarn Lab UK, and this is a Harry Potter set of minis. It is James, Remus, Sirius, Peter and the map. So I assume this one has got to be the map. And then I don't know which way round these are, but they're still lovely. I assume Sirius is probably this one. But there we go. But I loved these together. They just really drew my attention. I really like Harry Potter too, but I'd have bought them if they were something else. So. And then last thing I bought, I also bought a little tin with this cute cat comment on. And this one actually had another one on the back as well. So it says, get your knit on that side. And then we've got, it's the final cast off. Oh dear. And then it's got some of these lovely bulb pins inside with some different colours. Look, really never get too many bulb pins, that's what I say. And I did buy a pin badge, and that was a Fine Fish Yarns one, but it's already on my bag. There we go, a little mermaid. And I did get in the post, I ordered from Sam Draws Things. I shall get the card. She did a collaboration with Lay Family Yarn. And there's Sam Draws Things other card as well. And they did a little pin together. So Sam drew the design, or designed the design. And did this lovely pin badge. It's so shiny, it's difficult to get it to focus on the camera. But there we go. That's a lovely Lay Family Yarn pin. So, hello Kelly, hi Sam! So they're joining all my other pin badges on my lovely bag. There we go. So, I think that's all I bought. And considering how much lovely stuff there was at the show, I didn't buy that much. So the pin from Sam Draws Things and Lay Family Yarn I ordered on Etsy on pre-order a little while ago. So that was a surprise when I got home. Right, so we're on to the shop update now. So if you're not interested in listening to the shop update, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. And if you are, I shall show you what yarns I've been dyeing. So earlier I was talking about doing the Goldfish Memory Knit Along, which will be the swim along. And I've dyed up some yarn especially for this, and I've basically, some of them I've used colours that I already have in the shop, but then I've added some as well. So I've got 3 yarns, because the pattern requires 3 yarns, so this is the colourway I'm going to use. So it's like a nice bright bluey colour with then a speckled and a grey tonal. So this one is called Love is a Battlefield. Now this is the new one that I've developed, and I'm tempted to call it La Esta Bonita, because it reminds me of the lovely white buildings in Spain with the contrast with the sky and the sea. So if you've got any better names, I'd love to hear your suggestions. And this one is my Here Comes the Rain Again colourway, so that's a nice grey. So I thought that there's like a darker, a medium and a light colour. This one is in my normal merino nylon base, but I have dyed it up in some singles and it does come out more vivid, especially the solid colour here. So that's in my singles yarn, and I can't decide whether to do it in my singles yarn or my merino nylon base. But I will see. But I really love those colours together. I think they're a nice contrast. So I'll have some of these in the shop for you to purchase as well if you're interested. But then I thought I wouldn't just have blue, because not everyone really likes blue, but I thought I'd go for sort of a pinky purple set as well. So I dyed up some singles in this set. Now, this pink isn't coming out as bright as it normally does, but I'll pop pictures up if it doesn't represent the true colour. This one is my Strawberry Fields Forever, this one's Pink Cadillac, and this one is You Spin Me Round, and I thought that those three would go lovely together for the Goldfish Memories shawl as well. I've also done that in my standard merino nylon base, and the colour is slightly less vivid I think in this base, but you get the point there. So there we go. So there'll be some of those two colourways or colour sets in the shop if you wanted to join in. If you do want my MCN base or my BFL base or my Sparkle base, which is merino nylon and stellina, just drop me a message and I can do you a private order for that. I just didn't have time to do it on all my bases, you see. So, but I thought that those are the most popular for knitting shawls with, but I suppose MCN and sparkly ones are as well. So yeah, if you do want those colourways on the different bases, just drop me a message. I should have plenty of stock, and I can do that as a custom order over a few days for you. So I also have some little mini sets. I'm going to do a little mini 2 set where I've got a very pale pink and a purple, so those two will go in the shop together. And then I'm going to do a set of 3 where I've got a purple, a blue and purple mixed together. That's a really nice bright blue. It's similar to the one I'm doing for the set. And then I've got minis everywhere here. I think that's all the minis and the shawl sets, but I've done a number of sort of sock sets that I have done in the past. So there's the sock set for the Strawberry Fields Forever, and then I've got some Take On Me sets as well. So I've got these will just be on my merino nylon base, but just to show you what I've got. You don't have to have the optional mini, you can just buy the skein on its own if you want to. I have got Where the Wild Roses Grow set there with the mini, and also a new set that I haven't actually named yet. It's a nice lilac colour with a little pale pink mini to go for heels and toes, but again, you don't have to have the mini if you don't want to. And then I've brought some Christmas colourways back. So last year I dyed up some yarn that's called I'm Walking in the Air, and it's got a little bit of a pale blue to represent the sort of sky, and then we've got white clouds with little black speckles to represent the footprints of the snow of the snowman. And I thought I'd perhaps put those as an option with an optional plain undyed mini, because I think that those would go together nicely. And then I've got a very Christmassy red and green set there. This should microstripe this one, so you'll have one green and then a white and red stripe on your socks, and I thought that that paired nicely with a nice undyed skein as well. So this one is called Merry Christmas Everyone. So if you remember that from last year, I've dyed up some more. So there we go, I'll show you a bit closer. So it's a speckled red section with some green. And lastly but not least, I've done a few more of the rainbow yarns that I showed you the sock earlier, and they come with an optional blue mini which matches this colour. Phew, that was a lot of yarn. I've been doing so much dyeing the last few days, even though it's been so hot. I must have sweated about a stone in weight off. More cake, I say. Do you know, I'm such a naughty girl. Anyway, there you go. So Caroline from the Love to Sew podcast and I have been doing a little kit together, which is a surprise box for Christmas, and I'll pop a picture up here. And Caroline's been making a lovely Sybil the sheep bag, and I've been dyeing up some surprise minis to go in there, and there's a number of other little goodies as well that Caroline's got in store, which I know about. Don't worry, Caroline, I won't tell anybody. Oh dear. So they're in Caroline's shop, on her Etsy shop, but I've also got some in mine as well. So to make it easier, if you wanted to buy something else from my shop rather than paying 2 postages, you could put them in the basket at the same time, although we would have to wait till the pre-orders are sent out for the surprise Christmas box to get those other things you ordered from my shop, if that makes sense. But it's got some lovely surprises in there. So I think that's it. Oh, I forgot to say as well, I've got 2 more of the Over the Rainbow kits, which are this bag and the yarn I've just showed as well, with a little mini and some progress keepers in as well. There's 2 left in the shop and there won't be any more, so if you want one, get hold of one now if you're interested. Don't forget there's some stitch markers and a couple of little surprises in there for you as well. So thank you so much for listening right till the end, till my yabbering on's finished. I hope you have a lovely, lovely couple of weeks till I catch up with you next time. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you want to see more. And I hope you have a lovely summer. Bye!